Hello, everyone. Native English Video Dictionary.
Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm a native English speaker from the US, and this video is made exclusively for Native English Video Dictionary. Our word today is ignite, and I'm really excited to share about this word because it has so many different uses and so many different meanings. So I'll share some of them, but I'll start with the most common meaning. And the most common meaning of the word ignite is to catch fire or to cause to catch fire. So for example, you could say, if you want to start a fire, you need to ignite the match. You light the match on fire, and then you start the campfire. Or you could say, you need to ignite the stove before using it to cook, which means you need to light the fire on the stove, and then it can get hot, and you can use it to cook. There are some synonyms for this word, like light. For example, you light a match, or burn, you burn a piece of wood. Kindle, you kindle a campfire, or you start the campfire. And in fact, these actual synonyms are much more common to be used in the word than the word ignite. So ignite is actually kind of a formal word. So in traditional speaking, you're more likely to hear someone say you light the fire, not you ignite the fire, or you burn the wood, not you ignite the wood. So the synonyms are much more common. For example, there's the famous Billy Joel song called "We Didn't Start the Fire." Maybe you've heard it. Well, it probably would have sounded kind of strange if the song was titled "We Didn't Ignite the Fire," and that song probably wouldn't be as famous as it is today. And just like you ignite a fire, you need to do something with that fire when you're done. So we have some antonyms, which are to put out or to extinguish. Those are the most common antonyms for ignite. So you ignite a campfire to start it, but you need to put it out when you're done. You ignite a match to start it, but you need to extinguish the match when you're done. For example, a fire extinguisher, those red containers that you use when there's a fire. They're called fire extinguishers because they put out fires. They do the opposite of starting a fire. So at the beginning, I said there are many ways to use ignite, and I want to talk about the other main way it's used, which is when we use it to mean to start something in general. So, for example, you can ignite someone's anger or you can ignite someone's passion, which means that you make them very angry, you make them very happy, you make them very passionate. Okay? Or for example, maybe at a sporting event, you might have heard the announcers say the crowd is ignited, which means the crowd is very excited. They were coming out of their seats. They were yelling and jumping. They were ignited. Or maybe about a protest, you could say the protesters were ignited, which means they were very angry. They were ignited by the government's ideas. They didn't like the government's ideas. It made them angry, and they protested. So there are a few other ways to use ignite, and the other most common way that you might hear it, and this is the last common way you might hear it, is when we're talking about a car. And we use a different form. We actually use ignition, which is the noun form of the word ignite. And the ignition is the place next to the steering wheel in the car where you put the key and you turn it to start the car. That's the ignition. And you can kind of see that it makes sense. If ignite means to start, the place where you start the car would be the ignition, the noun. So that's a few ways to use the word ignite. You could either use it as a verb, like to start something or start a fire, or you could use it as a noun, which is the place where something gets started, like the ignition of a car. And the less common way that you might hear this word used is as an adjective, which means ignitable. And that is something is capable of being set on fire. You're able to set it on fire. Now, you probably wouldn't ever use that word ignitable. It's not very common. You might just say, oh, you can burn the wood. You might not say the wood is ignitable. So that's the word ignite, and I look forward to seeing everyone in the next videos.